Hey guys, this is El Día Opina, which translates to the day's opinion, and today we will be discussing the highly charged subject of gun control and mental illness. So I have an American friend today helping us with this conversation. The reason I am doing this is because here in Australia, well, everyone knows that guns were confiscated some time ago, and we need an American source to tell us sort of what the climate is like and what's going on over there. So recently there have been a series of shootings, and pretty much the basis of today's discussion is, the foundation is pretty much, is it okay to blame mental illness for gun control? So here we go.
Hey guys, this is El Día Opina, which means the day's opinion, and today I have my beautiful friends from the United States from the channel of Unframe of Mind. This channel is a very good channel, so I urge you all to subscribe, to like and share. Uncomfortable conversations with a condom. Sorry, can you correct that?
Yeah, I sure can. It's actually uncomfortable conversations without a condom. It's just the idea of having comfortable conversations and not being protected and not trying to protect our speech and just being free with our thoughts and just talking to each other, you know, like normal human beings.
Yes, something I advocate myself. Ooh, something he advocates.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. This is a tangent. I'm meeting him. I'm excited. I'm literally going to meet him and have a selfie and have a photo with him.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. Do you like him? Are you a fan?
It's one good looking fella right there.
One good looking gay guy.
I mean, I'm not gay, but I mean, I might make an exception. Just saying.
Yeah, maybe he'll turn for me.
What was that look?
I'm excited. He's coming to Australia. Okay. Our discussion today is whether it is a legitimate excuse to blame, whether it is, hang on, let me figure out the phraseology. Is it okay to blame gun violence on mental illness? Because I don't think that's a legitimate excuse. What do you think, being a country that has a lot of gun violence?
Sounds like we got a lot of issues all wrapped up in that one statement. First of all, is like,
yeah, I didn't phrase it very well.
Yeah, first question would be like, who do we assign blame to, and why do we try to assign blame to people? And the reason I bring that up is because typically when one of these, like say we're just coming off the Las Vegas shooting that just happened, the massacre down there at Mandalay Bay.
I loved your video on that, by the way.
Thank you. We just came off that, and a lot of people are seeking answers is what's going on. And we're trying to figure out, okay, why would somebody do this? And I think the reason for that is because we try to rationalize it in our minds somehow. So that way we can kind of maybe make a half-assed attempt at avoiding it in the future, or try to figure out some way that we can, see the signs before they hit us. So when it comes to the mental health issue, I think that's just another thing that we're trying to correlate between, okay, all these mass shootings happen. A lot of them seem to be taking these medications for different types of mental ailments, if you will, or depression or anxiety, and there seems to be a correlation. Now, obviously correlation does not equal causation, but it does seem to be a pretty strong indicator in a lot of these cases, that these people are medicated in some fashion or another. I mean, you can even go down the road of the conspiracy theories that the drug companies are trying to drug us into doing stuff like this. But
I love a good conspiracy theory.
I'm not going to even go bother looking down that road, because there ain't no telling how far that rabbit hole goes. But just in general, I think most folks are trying to figure out some kind of an answer to why this happened. And when you can't figure out why, it's kind of terrifying, because then it's like, well, this was really random and there's no way to avoid this.
Yeah. Sorry, the dog keeps barking. Do you think there is an answer? Because sometimes if it's based on religion or an ideology, say Islam, that's a very easy answer, because you're like, well, they believe what they believe. It's in their doctrine. Jihad, 72 virgins when I die. Hooray. Why not? When it's a white guy all of a sudden this white man does it, and everyone, including celebrities, are like, let's just call it what it is. It's terrorism. But when a brown person does it, anyway, sorry, that's a different show.
Yeah, now we're talking about the politicization of it all. But yeah,
sorry. But
my
point. Yeah, sorry, I went on a tangent there. My point is that this white man who did it, I don't even know why his color matters, but this white man who did do it didn't have any political leanings, nor did he have any religious leanings. However, it has been said from Paul Joseph Watson, who did a very good in-depth look at all the facts, said that yes, ISIS did take responsibility for it, but ISIS doesn't actually take responsibility for everything. They don't just go willy-nilly saying, yep, that was me, yep, that was me. Sometimes they don't, and a lot of those terrorist attacks in Somalia don't claim that was them. So why is this one being claimed that it was them? And why was there a random woman running around earlier saying there's going to be an attack, there's going to be an attack? Maybe this guy isn't mentally ill, but he was on Valium. I know plenty of people on Valium, and they're not going to randomly start shooting people.
Right.
Well, in this country, we don't have a lot of guns, so they're not going to randomly start stabbing people. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know. I know what you mean. Because even in our country, the Valium issue, and there's plenty of people taking Valium all the time. It's written about in songs and rap lyrics and things like that.
Yeah, and I even took it one time, to fall asleep on an airplane.
Oh shit! You didn't have like murderous thoughts or anything, did you? I mean, you weren't.
I did, but I mean, I kept them at bay.
And luckily, you didn't have a gun.
I have self-control. No, but I had a fork.
No, you don't have self-control. You have gun control there. That's why you didn't do it. It's because you didn't have a gun. Otherwise, you would have done it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the logic.
That will be your show. That's part 2.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here trying to put the pieces together like everybody else is.
Pieces together, but is it possible that this guy did it because he wanted to do it?
I mean, it could be. I mean, I don't imagine.
Why does it have to be a political reason? I mean, they were Trump supporters and they were all into country music. I mean, you can, I guess, put that together and say that, it was identity politics. But I'm sure that in a mix of country music fans, there's probably a shitload of libertarians and Democrats. I don't think you can just solely say, yep, they were all this. Like, that's just silly logic to me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's again, I think that's just people trying to figure out some kind of answer. And
yeah, I agree. I think my point is, and I'll get you to respond, is that sometimes people do the wrong thing intentionally. You cannot assign a mental illness every single time. That is an insult to people with mental illness. People who have anxiety, people who have bipolar, people who have a serious depression, whatever it is, they don't commit acts of mental of massacres. This guy did it because he wanted to. Like, did Hitler, kill the Jews because he had a mental illness, or did he do it because he was evil? Maybe this guy was just evil.
That's very possible. I mean, what's your any example?
That's an easy answer.
Yeah, any example that we come up with could be, well, yeah, this person has this particular issue. There's millions of other people that don't do that, and they have the same issues, so that can't be it. But then again, what you're talking about is an outlier. I mean, you're not talking about the general population or, trying to lump them into this group of people. I mean, you can try, but, regardless of what group you put him into, he's still an outlier of said group. And you're going to have people on either end of the spectrum, and some people just go way over the top, and you end up with some issue like this. So who knows? Maybe it very well could have been, yeah, I've got these thoughts, I'm not going to do anything. Oh, take a Valium, and oh, wow, this is, now I'm crazy. I don't know. It could be. But who knows? I mean, there's no way of knowing. You can't ask the guy. He apparently didn't leave no note, although, that's even disputed.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's so, yeah.
The problem is, I think the real problem here is just the unknown aspect of it. The fact that nobody's like, they can't like tie it up in a nice, neat little bow and put it away in their mind and say, okay, so if this, then run, because I'm about to get shot. There's no way to do it because it's so random, so unexpected and incredibly unlikely that anything's going to happen like this to anybody in the world, statistically. But it's still terrifying.
What do you mean?
Well,
You mean another massacre?
Well, I mean, there's right.
There's like one every month in your country.
There
sure
are multiple mass shootings. A number of those have to do with gang violence and things like that.
Yeah, which that at least you have a reason.
Right, and now the problem is like I said, statistically, most people in the world are never going to be in a mass shooting. You know, it happens a lot, but still statistically, we have way more people in the world. It's just still one of those things. You know, like you have a way higher chance of dying of many other things that you'll never even worry about.
Driving your car. Yeah.
But this one is so visceral, though. That's the problem. This one's so like in your face, and then the media, of course, sensationalizes it even more when they can.
And politicized it, and then got Hillary Clinton saying her shit about gun silencers. You're like, what are you talking about? It just became too much. It just snowballed. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know that there's an answer, to be honest. I mean, even if you take away the guns, I mean, these people still figure out other ways to do stuff. I mean, if you want to kill a lot of people,
absolutely.
There's ways to do it. I mean, you can get real creative, especially if you half-ass intelligent and, you cover your tracks and kind of, plan carefully. You can figure some shit out. I've sat there and just as a fun thought experiment gone through and said, okay, if I wanted to kill a bunch of people, how would I do it? I'm not going to say this out loud.
Sneak in the water.
I'm not going to say it out loud because that, that's very potentially incriminating. But the fact is, it's not that hard to figure it out. Yeah, don't say it out loud. We'll use this clip against you in the future.
Yeah, that's it's a bit late now. I said it.
Yeah. It'll be 20 years from now. You'll be mass murdering people, and then they'll come back to this clip right here.
Yeah.
Like she's always had these tendencies.
Do something to the water. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a number of ways you can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's scary to think about. Good morning. I was just reading your cup.
Oh yeah, this is amazing. Look at this. See if we can get it nice. You can say good morning.
Oh, when the coffee reaches the red line, you may talk to me.
Which is ironic because it hasn't yet reached the red line, and we are chatting.
and everyone, he's awake right now, and it's 4:15-ish a.m. Kind of crazy, right?
Hey, look, when you're dedicated to it, you got to be dedicated to it. As far as the mental health issue,
Go. Sorry.
Say that one more time.
I was going to say something, but then I realized I interrupted you, so you continue.
Oh no, I was just say as far as the mental health issue itself, it seems like just another bucket that another category people try to put people in just so that they can make peace with themselves. I don't think it has anything to do with the actual, what was his name? Stephen Paddock. I don't think it has anything to do with him. I think it has to do with the people that are trying to rationalize it. And sometimes people do irrational things, like vote Democrat. So you just can't explain it sometimes,
Such a good comment. Oh, it was the best comment. I so agree with you. Yeah.
Composure.
Yeah, anyway.
Composure.
Sorry.
Get it together, lady.
Voting Democrat. That would be us voting Labour.
Labor. Mm-hmm. Or is
Labour,
it Labour?
yes.
Labour?
Oh, sorry, yeah, Labour.
Labour.
He's saying it the Aussie way. Because our
Labour.
Labour is your Democrat, our Liberal is your Republican-ish.
Oh, geez. That's confusing.
It is, because if you say you're a Liberal here, it means you're a Conservative. But politically, but you can just say I'm a Conservative, and then people, that's just easier.
Well, I certainly hope you'll be able to kind of clip apart this conversation and make it something somewhat flowing.
Yes or no? Do you think it's an insult to people who have a mental illness of some sort that this conversation is even had? I mean, I don't care if anyone gets offended. That's I don't give a shit about that. But I do think overall the indication or the implication is that if you have a mental illness, you're someone we need to be worried about. That's, to me, stupid. I have a cousin who has like social anxiety. For sure he's not going to go around shooting anyone. Like, you know, and I know I'm bringing it to personal stories and anecdotes, which I don't like. I actually normally like stats. But yeah, yes or no to that question.
No, and anecdotes do serve a purpose as far as illustrating this stuff. I mean, you know, who doesn't know?
Yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't know somebody in their life that does suffer from some sort of mental illness or some kind of a depression issue? You know, somebody. I don't know that it offends. It's offensive to everybody with a mental issue, or as much as it is offensive to all Republicans when you blame all Republicans for the acts of one individual, or all Muslims when you blame all Muslims for the acts of a single individual. There might be some ideology tied up in that, but you know, mental illness, there's no core ideology, you know, driving these people.
There isn't.
Which kind of makes it a little different, but it's still, the fact is you still have a single individual doing whatever it is that they're doing. And you can't sit there and try to categorize him as part of a collective of people and blame all of them for the same type of heinous act. It just makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, well, when I say offended, I guess what I mean is, are they being gypped? Are they being gypped with that reputation or title or perception? That's probably more what I meant.
Like you mean like being stigmatized? Like they're already kind of
yes. I feel like they're being stigmatized as potentially dangerous to society, and I don't know whether that is a valid and fair perception.
Yeah, that's already a tough one anyway, because it's there's already a stigma to it as it is anyway. So to sit there and try to say, well, they're taking this medication and therefore I think it would definitely make people a little more weary of folks on medication. And I don't know that you're crazy for even considering it. I mean, you know, these thoughts got to cross your mind at some point. It's like, you know, maybe, who knows? But I think most people know the people around them. Of course, then again, we got stories of Stephen Paddock and his family members like, oh my God, I didn't see this coming, and nobody ever sees it coming.
His brother,
I don't know if you saw Stefan Molyneux's episode about him, about his family history and his rough childhood coming up, and the mother who decided to have 4 children with a psychopathic bank robber, you know, a wanted, convicted.
No,
you know,
you're illuminating me, to be honest.
Illuminate. Illuminate. Ooh, isn't that nicer?
You're educating me on it, because I saw the Paul Joseph Watson video and I thought, he knows what he's talking about. This is good information. I read a little bit, but then I got sick of it because it was everywhere.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's just one of them things that it's like, well, I think that probably goes a lot deeper into explaining why somebody might do something. If you can look back at maybe their childhood and see what kind of past they had and why they would, you know, because there's obviously in all of these mass murders and all these shootings, there's a serious lack of empathy. And there's a number of things that one needs in order to develop the trait of empathy, to be able to actually visualize themselves in someone else's shoes, for example, and to be able to you know, feel the pain of others, so to speak. And when you are able to just rain bullets down on a crowd of people and without even a thought about it, there's something terribly, terribly gone wrong, you know. And I think if you can trace that back to maybe, I think that goes a little farther in answering why he did what he did, if you're looking for an answer. But that's something.
But can you always blame someone's upbringing in childhood?
Have you seen my childhood?
I don't know if that's fair. Not fair. I don't know whether that's. I don't know what the word is. I don't know.
Did you just bark at me? Did you just bark at me? Like,
I did not. I'm house sitting, and she wants attention, and I'm not usually a dog person. Hello. Ugh. She's cute and everything, but she wants attention. I barked at you.
So just like anything else, I mean, you can't necessarily blame that in all cases all the time.
No.
I just, in my personal experience, just having looked into many of these issues and trying to piece things together, there does seem to be a common thread in at least that, as far as, you know, a high prevalence of single motherhood, a high prevalence of neglect, abuse, you know, just any number of things that do lend to a non-empathetic personality.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at a video earlier from Reason TV, the channel Reason TV, and Stephen K. Hogue made a very interesting point. He said that it is virtually impossible to know who will snap unless there is a prior history of violence.
In that logic.
There is no evidence that the mentally ill account for a largely disproportionate amount of violence or gun violence.
Here's the entire population of people with a mental illness diagnosis. And when you control for the complicating factor of substance abuse, here's the number of them statistically likely to commit a violent act. Only about 4%.
General strategies that forensic psychiatrists take is that one never attempts to predict violence in a large pool of unselected individuals. If you have a test that is 90% accurate and you applied it to 100,000 people, the rate of violence is roughly 0.5% in the general population. So there are 500 real violent people, but you've identified 10,000 people inappropriately as being violent. In the absence of a history of violence or any of the other risk factors, it is impossible to identify who will go on to become violent. For every individual who goes on a shooting rampage, there are 100 or perhaps more individuals who also had disturbed relationships with teachers, parents.
Respond to the fact that you can respond to this, that if 1 million people have mental illness, only 4% from that number will be likely to commit a serious crime. So it is virtually impossible to know who will snap unless they have a prior history of gun violence or violence. So respond to that, because that's the statement taken from.
Yeah, there was a number of different points you made, and I was like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good.
Yeah.
So,
no, respond to that one.
So going with that one, yeah, it's. So going with that one.
Sorry, I just wasn't structured. Now go.
So going with that one, yeah, it's impossible to do that, and I think what people try to do, what they try to do is they see this kind of event and they're like, oh my God, we got to do something, we got to change something because something's not right. We got to go make laws. Dear government, please help. That to me is never the solution, like ever. And unfortunately, that seems to be the first place people go. And it's like, put more laws on us, law-abiding citizens that are going to follow those laws. You know, it's never going to work for the non-law abiding citizens. You know, let's figure it out, solve something, change something now. The problem is everybody's in such a high emotional state, trying to diagnose it, trying to point blame, trying to put this bucket of you know, of who this person is and why he did it. And it's just, it's never smart to act or to put more restrictions on people as a law while you're in a highly emotional state. And that's the problem. It's like, okay, yeah, this is terrible. A lot of people died. Statistically, basically insignificant. Yeah, it seems like when the magnifying glass is on it, it seems terrible. Like, wow, that's crazy. But statistically, does not justify changing the entire law of the land for millions and millions and millions of people who didn't do it, will never do it, won't even consider doing it, and abhor the fact of even the thought of doing it. You know.
What about the fact that it's 59 people who died this time, which is 10 more than the 49 in the Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting? It's a lot of people, and I actually agree with you. An emotional response is not the right response. You know, you should go with objectivity and logic. I completely agree. But that's what the other side is saying. Well, it was 59 people. It was 10 more than the last one. We have to do something.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not going to do something after one person gets killed, after two people gets killed in one incident, 3 people gets killed. You know, at what number does it finally justify? You know, do we finally change the laws when half of the United States population is wiped out in a single attack? Well, yeah, that's never going to happen because, you know, we'll probably not be a country after that. But It's like the logic doesn't stand. It is an emotional response to a major event that just happens to have the media magnifying glass on it and is being sensationalized and politicized just because of the number of people who died in the one incident at the hands of the one person. You know, we have that many people being shot in a weekend in Chicago, and you don't hear a damn word about it.
No, that's true. And Donald Trump's trying to change that, but you know, he's a racist, so I'm sure I'm lying.
Yeah. Since he's a racist, he probably would rather the gun violence continue in Chicago so that many, many black people more will die, and he won't have to talk to them.
Yeah.
Perfect sense. Absolutely. Anyway.
Can I ask you a personal question? It's
right
not about
here,
Trump, don't worry.
in front of our millions of listeners? Yeah.
So no, do you own a gun?
I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What? And yeah, well, that's fine. Like, I wish I had a gun.
Yeah, I own a gun. We've gone out in the backyard even, and the kids have shot the gun.
Shot some cans.
Yeah, we shoot some cans and stuff, just target practice and things like that. You know, my 10-year-old knows how to fire it. You know, it's
but that's good. It's good that they know how to. But hopefully,
Yeah.
what about the excuse or the reason or the logic or however you want me to word that of children accidentally shooting themselves or shooting another kid? Is that a legitimate reason?
No, I don't think so. Again,
statistically,
it's insignificant. I mean, you're gonna see
I mean, one is obviously too many, but
right. I mean, obviously, you don't want a kid shooting themselves. That's terrible. Obviously,
yeah.
But then again, you got these dumbass parents that let their kids have access to it when they're too young to understand what it is. You know,
did you not just say that your 10-year-old shoots the gun?
It's like that very same 10-year-old, or that very well, no. I'm talking about toddlers.
No, I know. Sorry,
they try to throw this number of toddlers in your face who shoot or get shot by they go to their mom's purse and dig a gun out and they end up shooting somebody. It's like, first of all, why is it in your purse? Why is your purse in a location where a toddler can get a hold of it? Why is not the safety on? Why is it loaded? There's so many different things. It's the straight up stupidity. Now, do we legislate against stupidity? Well, we can try, but it's not going to work.
Yeah. I mean, you can try, but how does one define stupidity? Hillary Clinton? No.
Yeah. So it's a pain in the ass. It really is. But when you look at these situations, you're not talking about high IQ parenting at all.
No.
And I hate the children getting shot by the gun.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be one to say, well, that's just the price of freedom. That's just the price of freedom. It's kind of a slimy thing to say, obviously.
I'll edit to make it look like you said that.
Thank you. But the fact is, you've got children in an environment where they're in danger. I don't think taking the gun out of that situation is going to solve their problem. I mean, I'm sure there's any number of ways they could be harmed or harm somebody else accidentally in that scenario.
How does it work with guns? Because everything that we've seen here in this country, when people are talking about guns in America, is that you have it kept in a safe place, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no easy access to it. It's in a safe or whatever. That's apparently what happens. You can correct me on that. So someone comes into your house, an intruder, you have to run all the way to the several safes that you have, do the thingamajiggy, and then be like, hang on a second, I want to be armed too. Okay, now I'm armed.
Someone comes into the house, you're like, wait there, fuckface. Oh, you've come to the wrong house here, buddy boy. I'll tell you what, I'm going to fuck you up. Okay. Is it 32 to the left or 32 to the right? Your mother's birthday? Why the fuck would I know your fucking mother's birthday? Maybe if you didn't leave the window open because it's too hot in here, we wouldn't be getting fucking murdered, right?
How does it work? Because that logic to me, which a lot of comedians have used to explain how dumb it is to have a gun, does make sense unless there's something that I'm not aware of or that I'm not educated on. So
they've got a number. I mean, we're talking about, you know, you want to keep it locked up in a safe location when you have small children around. You know, if you are an adult and you know nobody else is going to be around it, you know, you can keep it in your bedside table. You'll be just fine. Hell, you can keep it under your pillow if you want. There is, as far as if you want to be
safety lock or something.
You can. There's a number of devices or safes that you can use that all you do is place your hand on it and it kind of reads your fingerprints real quick and pops open and there you go. That's all you do. You run up, pop, you got it. You're good. You don't have to. You can keep it loaded in there even if you want to, or you got the magazine sitting next to it. Pop it in there. You're good to go. It's not that complicated. It just takes a little bit of forethought and common sense. You know, like my parents have a shit ton of guns. Or my dad does. He collects them. He really enjoys them, and he's always, every time I go over to visit, he's showing me his new toy. And
that's cute.
I've grown up around it. There's nothing scary about them. You just have to respect. It's just like any tool. You just have to have respect for it. You know, I have to have respect for my power tools that I use for woodworking. You know, if I have a skill saw and I leave it plugged in and the kids are around, yeah, they could hurt themselves on it or hurt somebody else with it. That would be my stupidity for having left it there.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about, do you remember during the debates and you had Trump and then Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton made the point that she wants gun control or something to that effect because of children who shoot themselves in the head? I don't know, my brain went straight to, yet somehow, you know, at 6, 7, 8 month abortion is okay with you. Did you remember that comment that she made, or did you watch the debates? Does that stick out to you at all?
I do.
Well, I was upset because, unfortunately, dozens of toddlers injure themselves, even kill people with guns, because, unfortunately, not everyone who has loaded guns in their homes takes appropriate precautions.
I do. There's not any logical consistency there, as you were pointing out. And anytime I hear,
what did you think?
Well, anytime, not just in this case, but anytime I hear an elected official bringing up the children and using them as a pawn to try to elicit an emotional response from their constituents, my red flag goes off. That needs to be number one. If you hear them say, "Oh, but the children,"
it's so infantilizing.
Well, no, I don't even know that it's the infantilization. I think it's just, you know, we're trying to use children as a pawn. You know, we're trying to get you to react emotionally, and we're going to use children. Oh, but the children.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Imagine how the children would be. It's like, oh no, millions and millions of children will die if you don't let us pass this law to put more fucking control over you. It's like, okay, hold on. You just said children. What information are you not wanting me to see that you're trying to put up this emotional blockade in front of me with?
Yeah, no, I so agree with you. Yeah, you know, she said on The View that, you know, a baby isn't entitled to the American constitutional rights until they're out of the womb, and I'm like, whether that's true or not, you're an idiot. Anyway, let's head back to the subject. So what do you think of them? I know, so just before we get back to the mental illness subject and guns, you're obviously not a fan of Hillary Clinton, are you?
I'm not a fan of...
No, are you not a fan of Trump either, though, are you?
I mean, I'm not a fan of anything government related as far as a solution to a problem.
Limited government. Yeah.
No, not even limited government. I'm an anarchist. I'm straight up no government.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that. We'd all be eating each other. It'd be like the Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, that's the propaganda you hear. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation we can have for sure.
Yeah.
Should be a fun one.
The reason I brought it up was, it would be a fun one. Barack Obama, is it true that he tried to bring in some gun control? Is that true? Because someone said that to me here. Yeah.
I remember oh goodness, I can't even remember what was the linchpin for this particular issue, but I do remember a point where people were going out en masse and buying up all the guns that could possibly do it because there was a legitimate fear that gun control was going to be a thing. I think it was pretty much right after Obama was elected. I think that's what it was, because he was during his election.
So it was a threat more than a legislated
right. During
proposal.
his election campaign, I know he was talking a lot about gun control and that kind of thing. So of course, when he won, immediately you could not find ammo. I mean, even for a 22 little 22 rounds was ridiculously priced. I had to wait forever before I could even find any 22 ammo, let alone buy it. It was like insane. People were waiting in lines.
Really?
You know,
That's
like almost
insane.
like the Apple Store when the new iPod comes out, like people standing in line waiting for the new shipment of ammo to come into Walmart. And
sounds like such a different world to me. Like, I'm excited for my gun.
Well, I mean, it was.
It just sounds strange to an Australian ear. That's all.
In that case, it was another fear-based response. You know, they're
another
afraid,
emotional response. Yeah.
It's like, you know, most people that have a gun, they kind of know, they're comfortable with it. They know it's like, this is not it's a tool. It's an inanimate object. It does nothing. Like there's even a joke about leaving your gun on the front porch in the morning, and then by the evening, you know, you're amazed that it didn't shoot a mailman, or it didn't shoot the milkman, it didn't shoot anybody that came to deliver a package. You know, it's like the gun was still sitting there and nobody was dead. It was amazing. I don't know how that happened.
Do you know what's coming into my mind right now? I don't know what it is, but it's a reference, a movie or TV show or soap opera reference. I don't know what it is, of a gun and someone going, and then there's this emotional music and going, oh, that person has a gun. Oh, like it's literally just in a drawer. It's not doing anything. Like that person's an evil fucking gun. I'm like, oh my god.
I mean, imagine if you're standing there in John Wick's house and you see a pencil sitting in a drawer. You're like, oh my god, he's got a pencil.
Has a pencil. Well, I think the fact that I own this book makes me, the next Hitler.
You're so excited about that book.
I know I am. It's really pathetic. Anyway, I was going to ask you, is there a particular type of gun that people shouldn't have access to? Mentally ill people, jihadists, alike.
So here's a fun thought experiment that I've been trying to.
We don't know our guns here, so you need to educate us. But yeah, so fun thought experiment.
So a fun thought experiment I've been trying to do is like, okay, it's one of those issues of, okay, where's the line? Okay, is the knife okay? Yeah, I think a knife's okay. Is a handgun okay? Yeah, maybe a handgun might be okay. You know, is a hunting rifle okay? Yeah, hunting rifle. Okay, how about a semi-automatic? I don't know. Maybe
that's where that word freaks people out.
Yeah, it's like I don't. I think it's okay. How about a fully automatic? Oh no! We can't have a fully automatic. That's too far. But then you go a little farther. It's like, okay, so what about a bazooka? Should people not be allowed to own bazookas? Like, I'm kind of, as an anarchist, I'm like, well, if you don't have a government telling you what you can and can't, own, I don't see any reason why you couldn't own a bazooka. I don't see any reason why every U.S. American citizen couldn't own their own nuke, which would make no sense to me. Why would you do that? It's highly cost prohibitive. But I'm having trouble imagining what that would be like is the problem, because
that cannonballs.
I mean, can I own a cannon that actually works, that I just keep on my front lawn loaded at all times? I don't know. Maybe
I'll find you one.
Yeah, I have no idea where the line is the problem, and if there is a line, who controls that? And
exactly, and that's the question.
It's like, what would a world look like where everybody had the option of owning whatever the hell they wanted to own within reason? I mean, I don't think your particular group or your community, they may not really want you around if you happen to be an avid bazooka collector. They might kind of shun you or kind of end up making you want to go somewhere else. You're like, well, I'm obviously not welcome here. I'll move in with this community of other bazooka owners, and if we shoot each other with our bazookas, that's our own fucking problem, because we're idiots.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. I just don't think the government should be the ones telling people what they can and can't do. And it's not really fair that the government is the ones owning all of these highly powerful weapons, and us, common citizens have no way of actually legitimately retaliating against the government if we ever want to do that.
Well, I think you raise a couple of good points. One is, where's the line drawn? The second point is, who decides where the line is drawn? And 3, people don't know shit about their guns anyway. I don't know what the difference between, I mean, I know what a hand rifle gun is, like, I know what that is, but like you say semi-automatic and then you say fully, whatever, all those words are not things I know. The only reason I know a little bit about guns and I'm not so anti-gun, because being Australian, you'd assume that maybe I'm just not for guns at all. I've sort of shifted from being against guns completely to being open to why they're okay. And it's because of Steven Crowder. Do you watch Ladder with Crowder?
Sometimes, yeah.
Right off the bat, everybody had strong opinions and feelings, but how much do these experts actually know about firearms? If anything.
Well, I don't know what that is.
That's an Uzi. Well, no one needs a fully semi-automatic weapon. Careful, careful. You never know when firearms can just, do their thing.
They shoot one at a time or all?
It's fully semi-automatic.
Oh, okay, then no.
Yeah, okay, so no.
These are all automatic?
Well, many of these, some of these are fully semi-automatic.
Pause for those watching this who don't yet know. Fully semi-automatic is a very stupid, made-up term by me. To continue.
Well, there's no such thing as fully semi-automatic.
Well, we can get into wordplay, sure, but nobody needs a fully semi-automatic weapon. Oh, yeah. Exactly. I mean, what's the reason for like a fully semi-automatic? AK-47? No one knows. Have you heard of the AR-15? Yes. That's the bad one.
AR-15. AR-15s.
AR-15. ARs, 17s. AR-15.
Yeah, that's the really bad one if you pay attention to the news.
Yeah, so he's very good about explaining. He's out on the streets and he has all these guns on display, and people are like, no, not that one, because that's a fully automatic whatever. What was the wording that you used?
I don't remember. I think I seen the clip you were talking about, but
yeah,
people didn't know anything about the guns they were looking at.
Yeah,
they were just like the ones that kind of look scary were the ones that were not acceptable.
Exactly. Yeah, don't you think that a lot of the hysteria surrounding mental illness and guns is just that people don't know their guns and people don't know their mental illnesses? Do you reckon, like, as a way to sort of turn this around and go,
Yeah, that could absolutely be part of the issue for sure. Is just ignorance, lack of education on the subject. It's just fear, constant propaganda.
Someone asked me, propaganda. If someone asked me, sorry, I interrupted you. Someone asked me directly, what do you think of this gun? What do you think of this mental illness? And I didn't know anything about that gun, and I wasn't sure about that mental illness. I'd say I don't know enough yet to respond. Let me fact check. Let me do my research, and then I'd be able to be like, okay. A couple of days later, now I know what I think I need to know. But people don't do that. People just like, yeah, no guns. Or yeah, nah, people with mental illness, nah. It's an emotional response. I think you and I agree on that, the emotional response. I think that's maybe where we can finish up on the mental issues, don't you think? That everyone is just all about, it's always an emotional response, and there doesn't need to be an answer. Sometimes people just do the wrong thing because shit happens.
I think that's the best thing that we can kind of land on, is that there doesn't always have to be an answer. There doesn't always have to be a response or a solution implemented immediately. I almost think it would be nice to have a law that says, okay, we are not allowed to pass any new legislation until a year after a major incident happens. We've had time to cool down, kind of get over the shock of it all. We've had time to think about it, and yeah, we still want to do this. Then maybe that would be a better way to pass laws if there was ever a good way to do it. That would certainly be better than, oh shit, something just happened. We got to pass a law. We got to do it right now. We got to pass it like 6 months ago. Otherwise, this would not have happened. Like, come on. People.
Yeah.
Just stop for a second. Yeah, this is scary. Yeah, I get it. Just stop. Like, before you do something rash, imagine that.
Yeah.
People do something when, irrational in a highly emotional state. I've never heard of it before. Makes no sense. But.
And just before we finish up the mental illness, I want to ask you, is there, in this state, vetting before you get a gun? Do they ask you about your mental illness? Do they ask you about your history? Or does that somehow infringe on your First and Second Amendment
So when I go in to purchase a gun, you go in, you fill out basically a quick application. At the place I go, you have to take it up to a front counter or another location in the store, and they run the background check. And if it goes through their whole database or whatever it is they're checking for, comes back clean and says, yeah, he's good to go, then I can go back over to the gun counter and I can purchase the gun or whatever it is I'm looking for, and I walk out of the store.
Is there a 1 hour waiting period?
No, I don't believe so.
There isn't.
Now this was just for a pistol, this one I'm talking about right now. So there might be a longer waiting period for, semi-automatics or fully. I don't know how that works. You can get a fully automatic, but from what I understand, it's a lot heavier of a process to go through, and I think there might be a waiting period on that. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But
well,
in my case, I did just walk out of the store with it within, I think it was probably an hour total by the time I walked in the store and walked out for me to select the gun, and you kind of look at the prices and figure out what the, the shopping, basically.
The reason I ask about the 1 hour waiting period is because I'm getting all my reference from The Simpsons.
Because what?
The Simpsons.
I'd like to buy your deadliest gun, please.
Aisle 6, next to the sympathy cards. Whoa, careful there, Annie Oakley.
I don't have to be careful, I got a gun.
Well, you'll probably want the accessory kit, holster.
Oh, yeah.
Bandolier.
Baby.
Silencer. Loudener. Speed cocker.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
And this is for shooting down police helicopters.
Oh, I don't need anything like that. Yet. Just give me my gun.
Sorry, the law requires a 5-day waiting period. We've got to run a background check.
5 days? But I'm mad now.
Yeah.
I'd kill you if I had my gun.
Yeah, well, you don't.
Yeah.
Oh, The Simpsons?
Yeah. Anyway.
If that's your source for cultural U.S. references, though, we need to talk.
Well, I'm surprised you're not fat or lazy. So.
I'm also not yellow.
No, you're not, and you have hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not just my head's not shaped in a jagged line or anything like that.
No. Well,
I mean, it is on the back, but you can't.
That's a good place for us to finish up on the mental illness issue. Oh, the dog's going on. Thank you so much for talking to me today about mental illness and gun issues. I really appreciate it. I really want to get into part 2 where we'll just discuss gun control overall and what my thoughts and what your thoughts are. So if people want to get a handle on you and subscribe to you, tell them where they can go.
Well, pretty much everything you need is going to be found at unframeofmind.com. That's like frame of mind, except it's unframe of mind. And I'm sure that you'll leave a link in the description for me, so I don't have to worry about that. Will. But yeah, it's just any kind of videos, articles, podcasts. I try to put out new content every Monday, and work schedule permitting. I do have kids, but I try to put out a new video about every Monday, and I try to put out new content for you guys just whenever. That was terrible. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of those at Unframe of Mind.
Sounds great. Uncomfortable conversations without a condom. All right, guys. Make sure you check out his channel and make sure you subscribe and everything below. And we'll see you guys soon.